up into this one. The blue team, once again, M5 BenQ. The red team you're seeing on your screen right here is TPA Assassins. This is going to be an incredibly epic matchup. It's a best of 3, and the winner of this match, the winner of this best of 3, moves on to the $1 million match, that grand final. We're seeing who's going to win between M5 and TPA. Later today, we see who wins between Azubu, Frost, and Counterlogic Gaming Europe. While that's a rematch, that Frost CLG match, that's a rematch of a tournament just a month ago. These are teams who have never seen each other. And once again, TPA saying they most respect M5 of any team in the world. M5 have come through as a heavy favorite here. There is a lot of questions to be answered here. The last Mandarin-speaking team left in this group. There's a Korean team left there from Asia, but we're about to be whittling down this roster very, very quickly. You're seeing TPA open up pretty defensively. You're seeing M5 as well opening pretty defensively. Neither of these teams looking for early aggression.
It looks like Alex Ich just using that invisibility to his advantage right now, just staying slightly out of range, seeing a glimpse of each of the champions on TPA's side as they are hovering that top side. Coming into this, they do have that Udyr in the jungle. You usually see an Udyr focusing blue. What do you think they could be proposing with this, just top guard? Do you think they're going to be aggressive from Moscow 5, or they're going to go right around to blue?
Oh, they could jump there in at any time. This is one of the really difficult things here, is especially, I actually want to look at Shen real quick and see if Stanley has even learned Vorpal Spike, because if he has saved his point, Stanley has saved his first skill point, so they could absolutely give Lil Balls a Lizard buff and gank right away, but instead it looks like they are going to go aggressively after all and go for an invade.
Looks like they're coming around at just the right time. That blue buff spawning 5 seconds ago, they are going to push them off of this. Moscow 5 kind of conceding here. They're not putting too much pressure. Alex Ich coming around from the backside as well. The top is in. The Dazzler goes down. Too much focus. Little Ball is going to help his team now. Diamond with the flash. Alex Ich in poor positioning. And it looks like TPA Assassins, although in somewhat of not a solid position, they will be able to just walk this back and forth. They force the flash from Diamond, and that's going to be very good. You're not going to see huge aggression from him, and that'll kind of shut down his presence out of the jungle.
So this is interesting overall. Oh my gosh, Toys actually teleported into the bottom lane to deal with Genja. I have not seen this in quite some time, but they are lane swapping, and it's just like the Koreans play against Cassidy. They're putting a 2-on-1 in that mid lane. Any sort of melee mage to run the mid lane, especially one without great long-range tools. Like if it's Gragas can 2v1, it's not really that big of a deal, but someone like Evelyn or Cassidy is going to have a really hard time fighting that 2-on-1 there. So that might have been why Tarek got picked up, is once they realized that Blitzcrank was banned out, they said, you know what, okay, let's go for an aggressive mid lane here. You know, you can't do the same thing with Leona because Leona must jump on top of you, but with Tarek here, they can shut down Alex. They have a completely free lane for Kog'Maw, so he's going to have gold this entire matchup. This is really, really good.
You know, TPA formulated this perfectly. They went into the jungle and made sure that Moscow 5 wasn't in lane. They weren't soaking up experience. Then when they brought these lanes into sight, they did not give Moscow 5 enough time to react, so they're going to have to stick with what they have for now until they can really have to go back or are forced out of lane. So TPA with a very great strat mentally right now.
And I think they hope to actually give that Golem buff away to Toys at the beginning. They know Udyr can jungle without that kind of buff, but Toys wants that mana to survive the lane. At the same time, they're pushing up for a gank.
And this is what you get out of a squishy AP carry going down for first blood for Moscow 5.
That is the perfect play right there. That is exactly what they need to do, is they know he's got a bit of a weak matchup. They got Diamond around the jungle fast enough that he did show up for that gank. That's a really, really great play. Even got the blue steal as part of it. That's really good counter-strat orchestration here by M5 BenQ. Alex still with a bad lane, only 2 minion kills. You've got to remember that. That's a very big disadvantage, but at the same time, it's still risky for it's still difficult for both these teams this early game.
So you see Udyr coming out to middle. Looks like he could try to get some help on Little Balls, showing some presence, going back into the jungle. They had that ward on Wraiths, so he could retime it, actually putting another one down. Diamond with both buffs, making his way through the jungle. Gosu joining in mid, so Alex can get a little bit easier of a time here. We see Mistake's hand is raised, and we're going to get him.
Shyvana, Udyr, those are his top 3 jungles. He'll go to those 3 over and over and over again and try to set up those situations. M5, though, they've got their own sort of roster tier of champion selects. Nunu, Sona, if not that, Zyra for support, Ezreal and Kog'Maw, the big 2 AD carries here. So So they're kind of setting up these counteractions. Now, you're seeing them drop out the really common picks here, and they want to give themselves, a Shen top lane. They want to give themselves maybe that mid Evelynn or a nice team comp for a Kog'Maw in the background. So you're going to see what they run for right here. Typically, when you've got first pick, the first few picks in general that come in here, you look for something safe, something that works with kind of everything. Nunu is one of those examples where, he can synergize for an aggressive bottom lane, or he can play kind of a protect the Kog'Maw composition. We saw that from Counter Logic Gaming Europe just a few minutes ago, where it was Nunu Kog'Maw in the bottom, Karthus scaled throughout the mid, and they had everyone else kind of play just defense across that board. It's really, really scary for them.
Freak, surprisingly enough, they do go for that Kog'Maw pick, even though they don't have the Orianna in the game. But, however, Blitzcrank is taken out of the lineup, so it's a little safer to play that Kog without as much crowd control, especially grabbing Shen for the safety.
Exactly. That makes a lot of sense. When you put Shen and Kog'Maw together, it really opens up a world of possibilities. Nunu's kind of relative power absolutely drops when you take Kog off the field, and when you put Shen in there, you don't necessarily need an Orianna. You just need some kind of burst healing or burst shield, because, if Nocturne Leona or Nocturne Malphite or something like that jumps onto you, it is a scary place to be. Right? And so you need some kind of survival tool like a Shen ultimate, like a Stand United, and that's going to give Kog'Maw pretty much free reign to fight. And that's kind of what's gone down here. So you're seeing that Shen Kog'Maw, really strong combo. Alex Each going right back to that Evelynn. He forced Invictus to ban Eve the very second game. And, we'd seen her banned so very much, but picked up immediately by M5. And they're like, yep, we're going to go for Eve. Again, whenever it's available, a very, very strong roamer, sets up a lot of opportunities, will scale throughout the game. And the crazy thing here, this is the second time we've seen M5 pick Evelynn and not care about that mid lane. He does not care what he's up against. Like, we saw the Cassiopeia counter pick against Invictus, did not care, lost a kill in lane, but still scaled throughout, went like 8-3 in that game, had a phenomenal job. Diamond still trying to figure out what his champion is, but you're seeing M5 already set up for a late game scaling composition. Grabbing this Yorick here in this means they're also not burstable anymore. No matter who TPA tries to kill out, they're still going to be able to put, a clone back on someone, whether they revive Alex Each, whether they revive Genja, no matter what it is, the guy's going to come back to life and continue fighting. It's a really strong setup still here for M5.
So now, knowing with those picks, do you still think they may go with the Vayne? That would be a super late game team coming from Moscow 5 BenQ, but they've, last time they actually showed Zyra and then went to select Eve and took Zyra later. So they've seemed to they've tended to do that quite a bit on M5 side.
Actually, Vayne would make quite a bit of sense here, because they're against a not hyper-aggressive lane. Whenever you're against a Kog'Maw, he's not the biggest lane bully. It's not Corki, Ezreal, or Graves
who are
going to jump into your face. Right, yeah, he's got to swing at auto attacks. He doesn't really spam abilities much at you. He's not a great poker. You can take some damage, but if you've got Nunu Vayne together, that late game is ludicrously good. And especially when you've got a Yorick on that team, even if Vayne does die, again, she will come back to life and continue wreaking havoc. IPL 3 was actually the tournament that was defined by Yorick Vayne. You saw teams have to ban out Yorick to deal with that kind of situation. It made it really, really awkward. And it's weird here to actually see Taric picked up with the Kog'Maw, because that's not a lane synergy you see very often. You typically see Taric as an aggressive laner, as a bullier, but they're saying, no, we're going to pair that up with Kog, and they've got a really weird mix of lane control, where Taric can stop any aggression, but at the same time, they've also still got Kog'Maw just being Kog'Maw and really kind of scaling himself throughout. So you're still seeing, a lot of potential pickups here, and really no guaranteed overall strategies. The mid lane still not picked up for TPA Assassins, and still that total bottom lane and the top lane, or possibly jungle, really still not picked up for M5 BenQ.
Freak, they're going to have to be really safe in this bottom lane, unless they choose to do some type of swap. Lee Sin, or at least Diamond Prox himself, starting on that blue side, likes to start those red champions and could go for that early bottom gank. So that Taric, although isn't the best synergy, as you said, with Kog'Maw, is going to help. We see them actually going for the Vayne pickup and the Xin Zhao.
So this is M5 really playing a very similar strategy to their very first game in this tournament, where they've got that Evelynn in middle. They're not worried too much about the matchup. They've got, just a hyper scaling bottom lane. Genja going with the summoner heal on Vayne to keep himself alive longer, and Xin Zhao's going to be forced to play the role of main tank. Actually, no, Xin Zhao won't play main tank. He's actually going to be in the jungle. It's Yorick up at the top lane, and Yorick should be able to farm himself up some decent durability. Xin Zhao's going to be much more of an assassin in this lineup, and it's going to be a little bit hard for him, because I don't know if Xin Zhao Evelynn can completely kill off that Kog'Maw. He's got the Shen shield still available. There's a stun and a heal from Taric. I'm actually not sure that M5 BenQ can kill off Kog'Maw. So right now, that point we talked about, adapt to the carry, I don't know if they can completely adapt to BB in this game. It's going to depend a lot on how that lane matches up. As they're seeing the rest of this champion pool come through, looks like Taipei Assassins going for a Karthus pickup. So it's interesting, M5 playing a team very, very similar to what they ran Game 1 against Invictus. TPA running a team honestly very similar to what Counterlogic Gaming Europe just ran just a few minutes ago. Both these teams actually ridiculously good late games. A mix of team fight presence in the middle, but these are awkwardly similar teams. I'm actually not sure who comes out ahead here.
Freak, I'm gonna put it out there that I feel like Moscow 5 during that mid to late game is going to have the better initiate. You're looking for Kog'Maw and Karthus to really start to tear out some damage. Alex Ish will be sure to find one of them in the beginning, and you're going to see Nunu iceballing Kog'Maw, completely shutting down his attack speed. So once those are out, the cooldowns from Bear Stance and Dazzle waiting to come back up, and Taunt, if they don't hit those perfectly, it's going to be a very tough fight because Moscow 5, like Hotshot said, like Dan Din said, they have amazing fighting mechanics.
This is going to be really awkward as well. It's going to be very difficult. M5's fighting mechanics are amazing because Genji's going to have really no chance of getting shut down. It'll be very difficult for him to get kicked out of this matchup. It's difficult. Neither team has amazing hard engage. There's a little bit of poke on both sides, a little bit of pressure on both sides. But this game, I feel like it's going to be the story of AD carries, of late game carries, who aren't going to get caught too much and will just start eviscerating the front line. I think it's a matchup more about gold than about positioning because there's no ideal positioning on either side.
Yeah, it's going to be that catch somebody off guard the entire time, hide in the bush, allow Nunu's ult to start something, and continue a very long and sustained fight with the Yorick ulti on Vayne. And that's going to be the #1 objective for them as they come into this matchup. TPA, as we said before, that suffocation strategy that Moscow 5 may not be able to get away from right away, but we'll be sure to see them fighting hard as they come into that mid to late game. Ladies and gentlemen, the game is underway. Your first quarterfinal match, or semifinal matchup, I should say, of the League of Legends World Championship Playoffs. Here we go.
Alrighty. We get ourselves up into this one. The blue team, once again, M5 BenQ. The red team you're seeing on your screen right here is Taipei Assassins. This is going to be an incredibly epic matchup. It's a best of 3, and the winner of this match, the winner of this best of 3, moves on to the $1 million match, that grand final. We're seeing who's going to win between M5 and TPA. Later today, we see who wins between Azubu, Frost, and Counterlogic Gaming Europe. While that's a rematch, that Frost CLG match, that's a rematch of a tournament just a month ago. These are teams who have never seen each other. And once again, TPA saying they most respect M5 of any team in the world. M5 have come through as a heavy favorite here. There is a lot of questions to be answered here. The last Mandarin-speaking team left in this group. There's a Korean team left there from Asia, but we're about to be whittling down this roster very, very quickly. You're seeing TPA open up pretty defensively. You're seeing M5 as well opening pretty defensively. Neither of these teams looking for early aggression.
It looks like Alex Ich just using that invisibility to his advantage right now, just staying slightly out of range, seeing a glimpse of each of the champions on Taipei's side as they are hovering that top side. Coming into this, they do have that Udyr in the jungle. You usually see an Udyr focusing blue. What do you think they could be proposing with this, just top guard? Do you think they're going to be aggressive from Moscow 5, or they're going to go right around to blue after
they could jump there in at any time. This is one of the really difficult things here, is especially, I actually want to look at Shen real quick and see if Stanley has even learned Vorpal Spike, because if he has saved his point, Stanley has saved his first skill point, so they could absolutely give Lil Balls a Lizard buff and gank right away, but instead it looks like they are going to go aggressively after all and go for an invade.
Looks like they're coming around at just the right time. That blue buff spawning 5 seconds ago, they are going to push them off of this. Moscow 5 kind of conceding here. They're not putting too much pressure. Alex Ish coming around from the backside as well. The top is Xin. The Dazzler goes down. Too much focus. Little Ball is going to help his team now. Diamond with the flash. Alex Ish in poor positioning. And it looks like Taipei Assassins, although in somewhat of not a solid position, they will be able to just walk this back and forth. They force the flash from Diamond, and that's going to be very good. You're not going to see huge aggression from him, and that'll kind of shut down his presence out of the jungle.
So this is interesting overall. Oh my gosh, Toys actually teleported into the bottom lane to deal with Genja. I have not seen this in quite some time, but they are lane swapping, and it's just like the Koreans play against Castan. They're putting a 2-on-1 in that mid lane. Any sort of melee mage to run the mid lane, especially one without great long-range tools. Like if it's Gragas can 2v1, it's not really that big of a deal, but someone like Evelyn or Kassadin is going to have a really hard time fighting that 2-on-1 there, so that might have been why Tarek got picked up, is once they realized that Blitzcrank was banned out. They said, you know what, okay, let's go for an aggressive mid lane here. You know, you can't do the same thing with Leona because Leona must jump on top of you, but with Herrick here, they can shut down Alex. They have a completely free lane for Kog'Maw, so he's going to have gold this entire matchup. This is really, really good.
You know, TPA formulated this perfectly. They went into the jungle and made sure that Moscow 5 wasn't in lane. They weren't soaking up experience. Then when they brought these lanes into sight, they did not give Moscow 5 enough time to react. So they're going to have to stick with what they have for now until they can really have to go back or are forced out of lane. So TPA with a very great strat mentally right now.
And yeah, I think they hope to actually give that golem buff away to Toys at the beginning. They know Udyr can jungle without that kind of buff, but Toys wants that mana to survive the lane. At the same time, they're pushing up for a gank.
And this is what you get out of a squishy AP carry going down for first blood for Moscow 5.
That is the perfect play right there. That is exactly what they need to do, is they know he's got a bit of a weak matchup. They got Diamond around the jungle fast enough that he did show up for that gank. That's a really, really great play. Even got the blue steal as part of it. That's really good counter-strat orchestration here by M5BenQ. Alex still with a bad lane, only 2 minion kills. You've got to remember that. That's a very big disadvantage, but at the same time, it's still risky for it's still difficult for both these teams this early game.
So we see Udyr coming out to middle. Looks like he could try to get some help on Little Balls, showing some presence, going back into the jungle. They had that ward on Wraiths, so he could retime it, actually putting another one down. Diamond with both buffs, making his way through the jungle. Gosu joining in mid, so Alex can get a little bit easier of a time here. We see Mistake's hand is raised, and we're going to get him here. It is 5,300 gold to 5,600 gold. You can see Stanley and Darian just kind of duking it out. Stanley preemptively shielding up to make sure he dodges that ghoul damage. Darian just pushing out his mana from that bar. Stanley will have a little bit better time in this lane, but like we said, Freak, that is not a fight lane. Those guys are not going to take each other down. Alex Ish being pressured very hard in mid here. As you see, Gosu Pepper is still forced to go around the map. He is still making sure his lanes are okay, and that's going to be bottom from Genja as well.
Alex.
Huge damage there. Nice dazzle. BB taking a turret shot. This is the pressure here. This is the stranglehold suffocation that TPA Assassins wants to throw on. Nunu can't always stay middle. He still wants to support Vayne. That's going to become a tough lane. Genja's not too hurt right now, and he's actually farming just as well. As we see Toys, the flash, the initiation, the dazzle goes down, but he flashes out perfectly. Diamond coming in to deter this attack, and they also waste the Summoner Exhaust there. One attack from Alex. You can see him always doing the little bit amount of damage, getting the upper hand as much as they can.
And that was really, really good. Diamond knew that was a prime counter. It was a prime gank attempt right there. Was waiting in the wings, immediately jumped on, put on the crowd control, and a great move. 2 flashes used to try to jump on Alex. Alex, the 1 flash of himself, got himself out. Really, really good plays. But I want to talk about this top lane a little bit. Stanley's making some cool moves. Whenever a ghoul chases after him, if he can do it, he actually runs into the brush and forces the ghoul to stop and actually hit minions instead. So you'll see when the lane is actually more neutral right here, Stanley will jump to the brush to kind of deter those kind of moves, and it allows him to push back to his turret. That's a really good move to do against Yorick to keep that lane kind of in your favor. But you're seeing that matchup still much better for Shen. He's winning in minions, and he'll continue to do well. And now being the first to level 6 as well means he can really support these gank attempts and really just snowball his side lanes ahead. You won't see Karthus get tower dive nearly as easily again.
So not usually seeing the Dorans on a jungler. Xin going for that first. Diamond feels like he just wants lane presence to get out here and wants to be a little bit more tanky. You can see him going down towards bottom lane or into the blue brush. He doesn't see that Karthus is there. And you are going to get some invasion here into the jungle. Just a ward from Diamond. That was his only one. He was backing previously, so we may see him go back to buy. Gosu joining again with even mid. That Blood Boil on. Not going to assist too powerfully much, but obviously help her get out of some sticky situations, especially with Dazzle. And you can see it, Little Ball's doing the exact same thing, pretty much just mirroring what we saw Diamond Prox do, heading around, warding the jungle, making sure every one of the bushes is clear, and we can see they're getting quite aggressive here. The roam comes in from the jungler and support. This is the benefit of having those guys in mid, but like I said, there will be others there. Little Balls may have forgot that right away, and here comes the Stand United into the fight. This means that Stanley, or rather, that's going to be Darian, now having quite a fun top lane Freak. But, as I said before, they weren't controlling objectives. They go and take it.
And that was a really orchestrated move. We talked in the pregame about M5 having team-based counter jungling. Well, they actually sent Karthus all the way from bottom lane to walk over saying, we're going to steal the blue. We have the numbers advantage. We know we will outfight an underfarmed Evelynn. We know we will outfight them. We've got Stand United. They simply walked over, and M5 knew it. M5 knew they had complete control, did not even contest anything. Now, they had waited in the brush. They knew they couldn't win the fight, but they knew they could at least burn Stand United. And so they burned one of those not summoners, but one of those very long cooldown ultimates. It's a very, very big move there.
So we're seeing great defense from Moscow 5, BenQ in mid. Usually you see the AD carry support switch coming in to really drop a lane as soon as possible and push that person around for the roam. But they've really swapped the lanes just back to normal. That kill going to Genja. They're saying Vayne could start to get a little strong. We see Gosu coming in. They go for a mistake. However, the Dazzle goes out into Zin. The 3 talent has not popped him up yet. The crowd control is great, but there is the teleport as well. Stand United is not going to come in this fight, so they are faced with the amount of champions from TPA they have here, and they're still forced to back up. Very low mana and health coming into that fight. And a scene, Little Balls right here, seeing LHH as he's forced to run in the bush. That ward gives him a bit of vision, and there's the speed buff steroid coming in for Alex to get out safely. TPA now grabs their own blue buff, but Alex sits on the wing to try and take this one away. Pressure coming in as well from Diamond. They do have that ward. They do not get the steal on it. Goes to Little Balls.
And that bottom lane fight really should have gone in M5's favor. There's 2 rules really of fighting in general. Number 1 is if you're on a 2-on-2, you always attack the AD carry, because if you don't attack him, he'll attack you back and he'll win that fight. And that was the rule that that Genja was following. You saw him jump up and try to focus down BB's Kog'Maw. The problem was that wasn't a 2-on-2, it was a 3-on-2. It was a free kill completely. And the team focused on the Mistake. They exhausted Mistake. They stunned Mistake. And Genja went for the entire other champion. If he landed 3 attacks on a Mistake, that would have been a kill on the Terror Core, at the very least forcing his flash out. But that's not what they did. They completely did not go for him. And they would have been 300 gold for Genja without a doubt if he went for the right target.
So we see 10 minutes coming into the game. The pressure, not so much causing falters, but a little bit of miscommunication there. We did see 10,900 gold to 10,400. Very, very close in the economy situation. It is 1 kill in favor of Moscow 5. We saw them grab that. It did go over to Gosu, rather, in middle, but we got 2 assists on it. That's going to be going to Diamond as well as Genja. So 2 good people to get that money early in the game. And we can see Genja quickly, not just going for straight damage, but trying to really scale that W up with the Zeal right off the bat.
And that's really how you kind of play as Vayne, is you've got a lot of base damage because of Silver Bolts and Tumble and all that. And so what you're really trying to go for is just speed. It's getting into fights, you know, engaging and disengaging. She's a little bit short range because she doesn't have those long range poke tools like Kog'Maw does. And so she's going to kind of keep setting herself up and get into and out of fights as fast as possible.
Ward clearing going on now, coming from Little Balls, double buff on that Udyr. The lane is pushed up quite a bit, but they know that ward was just taken out. He shows himself bottom. This is going to give some help. This is a perfect chance to counter. Now that he is gone, he's going to walk away quite a bit. We see him coming back here. Diamond's going to know that procced him to just stay. Little Balls is still very much so interested in this fight. Diamond has backed, so still Moscow 5 must be careful. Great job, Gosu Pepper using the mentality to act as just a live ward in the bush to keep Genja safe.
And right now you're seeing the sort of matchup for TPA is that I think they're happy to kind of scale throughout this game. And I think they want to keep putting pressure on Alex and get a lot of gold up there and keep him from farming. I think this is the one time you would actually gank to shut someone down, because they don't want to give Alex Evelyn those roam opportunities, because you know, he's at the level now, being level 8 really, where he can actually shove minion waves out. You just saw him do that now, and he's going to roam around the map and look for an opportunity. If they can keep Alex down and burn his spells, he can't do that.
We see quite low health going into a fight. They initiate down bottom. A beautiful job there. They called in the Stand United for the fight. Diamond procs coming in very big. He charges in to get the kill. Alice Ish coming up with that one onto Kog'Maw. BB trying to blast out the true damage. And we are going to find Mistake on the chase. Stanley is quite hurt as well. Darian coming down to assist the fight. This is going to be huge for Moscow 5 if they can continue to micro themselves out of the damage. Little Balls is left by himself as Poise flashes away. The triple kill for Moscow 5. Darian coming up huge. 4 altogether.
Believe that roam coming through, and of course it is complete control for Dragon. They could even go to mid if they wanted to pick up another turret, but I think they're going to recall back instead. They know if they're low on health, they could get counter pushed instead. So you're going to see Darian come back, walk to that top lane. You're going to see Genja just kind of get his health back up, life stealing that whole bottom lane. But what a good opening there. The move down from Darian to show up to that fight in time. The Ghoul's putting out so much damage. That was amazing. You see that TPA lineup really trying to use their ultimates for the engage to make that happen. Let's watch a replay and see just what those moves were. Darian, really the MVP in that fight.
Пока что. Дарьян, давай, пизди. Хорош, хорош, Дарьян.
Удира лучше. Удира. Будет за медлом, будет. Давай, хорош!
Хорош,
Давай,
Дарьян.
парашка!
Есть,
There you have it. Such a strong fight coming from Moscow 5, and they really controlled it from the beginning. It was an amazing thought by TPA Assassins. The initiation from everywhere but the lane itself. The Requiem comes in, the Stand United comes on, and the only real initiation you see from bottom lane is a few steps forward so Shen can get that taunt off. Everything worked perfectly, but kudos to Moscow 5's bottom lane for getting out just an inch in time.
And that's really, there's two things to point out there as well. Is the one is you look at how well sort of coordinated M5 BenQ is. The only one even talking in that fight is Alex Ish. Everyone else knows their jobs exactly. No one has to talk. No one has to say anything because they all know each other so well. That roster is so stable that it's clear, it's concise, and it's just Alex saying, "Here's where we're going." Okay. Darian, cast this. Guys, go in here, go in here. And he's just the mastermind making all those calls. And that's the first team I've really seen play like that. Well, you know, a lot of them will just yell for every kill. If you listen to like CLG, actually if you listen to Curse's sort of in-game chat, you can't hear anything. I've tried.
A little aggression here onto Genja, and he gets stunned up twice. A very nice job from Dazzle into Bear. And he gets pushed out of lane here. This is going to be big. TPA needs to get some ground in these lanes.
And this is the difficulty, though, is they just try their major engage using all their main cooldowns. So they're coming back the next 30 seconds, that's a big deal. But if you saw how CLG EU did it, is they actually counter-engaged with Requiem. They actually let the fights come to them and then turn them around. Now, I think TPA should put the aggression on. I think they have the team for it. But that's really the difference here, is that if you're kind of going in with those fellas, it's much harder to turn those fights around.
See the blue buff going out. Alex Ish grabs it away. Doesn't even have smite. 15 minutes in the game. Gosu Pepper goes down for this. So kind of a back and forth there. You did lose a champion. It's going to be a kill coming up, I believe, for Bebe there. So, or BB rather. So he's going to be getting himself some gold. Both the AD carries kind of building up the same way as Kog'Maw. That cheaper build as well, coming in with the Zeal, able to use that W Bio-Arcane Barrage percentage health damage that you're always going to be doing. However, that only comes up every so often, so you'll see him trying to get himself within range in the fight. Coming up from the backside, here's the assassination. Up until mid-game, Alex Ish doesn't want to fight, but there you can see just how aggressive he is once he gets the chance.
And once again, it's going to be how he plays that matchup. He is an assassin against a mage with not a lot of defensive escape tools. It's going to be kind of over and over that kind of story. And now next time, Stand United will not be back up. Alex Ish on Evelyn only has 45 seconds to go until that ult is back up. Meanwhile, it's more like 2.5 minutes here for Stanley on Shen, and that is a mismatch that M5 is going to need to do. You heard Jat during the WE-CLG match where he was saying that you know, they've got to put those windows in between Karthus ults.
The teleport coming in, Toys now coming out as well, and here the Wall of Pain takes down Gosu. The Wall of Pain is down. Genja's going to be able to run out, and he just continues to lose his support. Obviously, he's happy to not go down, but that is going to continuously feed that bottom lane.
That's exactly fine, and every single time, you know, it's a 3-on-2. You don't need to focus the carry. Do not get caught up in the fact that kills are for shutdowns. Kills are for golds. In a team fight, kills are for shutdowns because you don't want them fighting you. But as far as ganks are concerned, ganks are there to just give yourself and your teammates 300 gold and split that 58% assist gold with everyone else who's in that fight. That's what it's for. It's there to get Toys farmed because he knows that mid lane, it's risky. Alex has his ult back up. Now, he's got no ignite, but he's going to have enough damage here, Sorcerer's Shoes, and a lot of extra ability power to keep putting that pressure and really make life super, super miserable here for Toys.
Freak, I think this is one of the times like we've seen either of these teams not start dictating fights, you know, before towers have gone down. They're staying in their lanes. There's been only ganks. Usually we see a huge tower dive coming in. Genja face checking the bushes. They go in without any vision, and it's going to be huge. The Requiem comes down onto Genja. They give mistake against the wall, but he's forced to dash away. Beautiful job knowing he could do the damage there as he dazzled mistakes, or he rather condemned mistakes so he could not dazzle and got some extra damage. And these guys really playing their mechanics to the top of their limit. 8 kills into this game. It's 5-3 in favor of M5 BenQ as they continue their aggression. There's really no snowball to either team. About of a 3K gold lead here. Genja once again stunned up. They can't get inside for Bear stance. His flash was up, and that could have been a considerable kill for them.
That was really risky overall. You just see Genja kind of playing this matchup by the skin of his teeth right there, using Summoner Heal to bait out the flash from BB. And as soon as he came in there, he was like, "Summoner Heal, fight me!" And BB was like, no, we're good, thanks. And just simply backed off from that one. But that's kind of the gameplay you're going to see from M5. They're going to fight these very sort of neck and neck, tooth and nail battles that are just extremely close overall. And the way they're going to really tip is if Alex gets to finally roam. He's not been able to run into these matchups very much. He's been fighting his lane opponent, stalking Toys here in the jungle. This could be good for him.
Toys not really catching him there. Huge damage coming out from Alex Ish. Will he flash over for the kill? And it looks like he may be able to get Landmass Q out. He lands it, makes it out alive.
Alex playing that one right. Again, he's got the Deathfire Grasp picked up there. It's exactly what he wanted to do, was simply turn those around and just assassinate Toys. And you look at Toys' build, he's got those flat magic resist, he's got the Rod of Ages, but he needs more. He needs some actual magic resist. Normally you see Rabbidan's Death Cap come out next, but right now he needs a Negatron Cloak. He needs to not get one-shotted by Alex in lane, because that will keep happening every minute.
Oh, BB not looking so good right here, but the Condemn just going off a little bit, and it pushes him towards his turret. That's not really going to be an initiation here for TPA. Good damage coming out, however, from BB. He did get that BF sword. He knew he needed damage versus the Silver Bolts of Vayne. That right into Phantom Dancer was not going to work for them, although would help to shred those tanky champions coming in. And there it is, the initiation onto Genja, the Ice Blast to BB so he can't attack, just back and forth. Great job down bottom, but TPA continuing the aggression as well, so great job from them.
And there is a lot of poke potential there. Anytime Dazzle lands, BB is guaranteed to land that the arcane, the ultimate there, the living artillery as it's called, to get some free harass down. Last time I thought he would have landed that for a couple hundred damage right there. There's not a lot of sustain overall on Genja. You see, two sort of builds there from Vayne. One of the main ones is rushing Bloodthirster, and that lifesteal would really keep Genja alive. But as you're seeing here, as he fights the Lizard buff, there's not a lot of lifesteal for him. He's just got those two Doran's Blades, so that poke will stick around quite a bit onto Vayne. They should keep that pressure going.
A few of the turrets now pretty hurt for Moscow 5, meaning those prep turrets could really mean a lot after an objective fight here if it can be forced by Taipei Assassins in the right formation. They will be able to push that mid turret. Don't know how hurt that top turret is. It's actually still got some health. You can see Darian doing very well in his lane. Now Genja and Gosu Pepper trying to defend theirs as well. It is not too hurt, so they have a good lane going down bottom. A lane that can both get Genja farmed as well as keep Gosu somewhat alive. He's gone down quite a bit for his team this game. The only one to have the 3 kills on that board, and that's the person they want dying if somebody's going to go down. So they've done it in the correct fashion if it were to happen.
Mistake just waiting around trying to find Gosu Pepper out. The ultimates are at both Requiem and Stand United. TPA is going to look for another fight as Evelyn comes from the back. Expect all ults to be burned. TPA, they could be okay. Actually, Low Ball's waiting around. If they go in, he's going to be in good shape.
Yeah, that teleport's just coming up for TPA Toys. Here we go, though, on the BB. So much damage. He tries to cleanse. He looks like he's going to make it out of this one just on the outside of Gosu's Absolute Zero. They do a ton of damage. TPA cannot stay in the fight with the amount coming out from Genja. He is just able to focus whoever he wants from the backside. And you can see Diamond creating such a frontline presence.
Wow, so much damage was available there. I can't believe that turned as easily as it did. With Stanley there, Low Ball's there, everyone there to tank, it just did not matter. They just completely burned through Tarek's health bar, no matter what. Happy to kill out support, happy to bring everyone's health bar down and simply make the fight happen. Darian did not have to be involved whatsoever, and they still won that in a 4v4.
Slowing down Toys. No, they do not choose to initiate. There's too much turret damage to be had. They played that one smart. Toys as well, trying to keep himself safe here with Little Balls. They're going to have to watch this turret go down. The first turret of the game, 22 minutes in. I think that may be the longest time it's taken for our turrets to fall. Moscow 5 BenQ and Taipei Assassins playing a very cautious semifinal matchup.
Yeah, they really do not want to overextend, because if someone does move in a little bit too far, there is so much chase potential on both sides. I mean, you look at the M5 lineup. If someone overextends, they've got Vayne with Blood Boil, who will chase that guy to the ends of the earth. You've got so much flow coming out from Nunu and from York together that no one's going to get away if they overextend. Meanwhile, the same thing is there for TPA. Shen, Tarek, Udyr, that person is going to get completely locked upon, just locked down really, and then everyone else is going to fire upon him, and Karthus and Kog'Maw will have a lot of damage on the front line. Both these teams are about just enough disruption, about having just enough disruption that the back line can just shred people down. So you're seeing more ganks than turret pushes, because turret pushes can be countered, but ganks, they kind of they have more of those questions answered and can kind of push through a little bit more safely.
So Freak, let's take a look at these builds. We do see that Stanley is going for possible late game Frozen Mallet, but switched over to go for that Wit's End to stop the damage coming in from Eve. Usually we'll see that tanky top laner take the role of, as I just said, the tank, but we look over to Darian's side. He's gone for Triforce. Nobody on their team is really building to be that single tank? Is their amount of power really allowing them? But Alex, he's coming in huge right here on the top turret. It has been prepped to be taken down, but his focus is only Stanley coming up with the kill and able to make it out. 8-3. Alex again providing for himself.
And just over and over, he's got a safe lane, just turns it around to gold.
Here comes the Absolute Zero. Big damage on Mistake. It procs. Another shot could come in. He might lead this one to Diamond. Mistake is not the focus anymore. Little Balls gets taken down as he tries to come in. Darian picking that one up. And again, they'll get another one. It's going to be Mistake as well. Here comes Toys. Toys could get dropped. The heal coming out. If he can turn and fire, they may be able to stop it, but there's no mana. It's only going to be Toys having his way with bottom lane now. The 4 for 2 or 4 for 1. Alex stays alive.
He's just having a field day here, constantly pushing through on this map. They're making a lot of difficulties here. Alex is not getting shut down. He rushed that Deathfire Grass. He used it to great effect, picking up kills on Toys, I think twice in a row now, just kind of soloing him out in that lane and making a lot of pressure happen overall, and he's been able to roam. He's been able to show up to those fights. The kills at bottom lane where they picked up Mistake and put some pressure on the turret right after. You know, the pressure of that top lane, just diving Stanley, you know, pretty tanky Shen under his turret, and it's interesting because that's like the one downside you would expect to see from Shen going double gold per 10 is he would have a bit of a weak mid game as he waits for that gold to kick in, and just, you know, would you know it, Alex shows up and capitalizes on that disadvantage. We're seeing a complete repeat of his first Evelyn game, I should say, and just picking up kill after kill on the opposition.
And a huge item coming out from Darian here. Actually just picked up his Guardian Angel. Always focusing his ult onto somebody else now. Doesn't even have to worry about himself. Is really taking that top lane. 209 minion kills to 137. And as I said before, Freak, he's had such a good lane, he's not even needing to build the HP for that lane. You can see, as we were saying and poking at before, Shen having to go for Wit's End for the magic mitigation, as well as that phase to build into the Frozen Mallet later for that health. What's the advantage of just having Darian not have to do that? It's always damage coming from that lane now.
It's interesting because I guess, you know, because he got this early kill, he's able to push forward. Rushing that Trinity Force allowed him to really be a huge menace overall in battles. It let him out-duel Stanley, pretty much. It let him to kind of stop counter pushes.
You see the wall of pain going down, and you can see the confidence coming from Moscow 5. They are waltzing through this fight right now. TPA Assassin with Darian on the outside. 4v1 right now. Darian taking all the hits. The Guardian Angel not even popped. We see Alex Ace going into the middle of the fight. Mistake could go down here. He will fall to Genja. We see coming up huge. BB onto Alex. That area of effect damage not going to be coming out for them anymore, and they are forced out of this fight. TPA using the turret to their advantage here. A good kill coming out from Darian as he takes down Little Balls, but the chase is on. BB does have that blue buff. He just decides to turn, though, as both teams just go in an all-out fight regardless of the area around them or the situation of the turret.
This is one thing that M5 is best at overall, is they are so supremely good at getting into fights just long enough. If you actually just sat there watching Darian the entire time, and it's like, yes, I'm in the front line, fight me, I'm Guardian Angel Yorick, fight me, I dare you, keep, go for it. Pop the Guardian Angel, don't mind if I do, fight me, do all the damage, haha, we killed your carries, and then got low enough and just walked right out. His Guardian Angel is going to recharge over time. That cooldown is going to come back up. I think he might, you know, and he had the self-control to say, yes, I will happily lose my Guardian Angel. He will tunnel vision me, and you will kill the very tanky Yorick. Next fight, I won't be quite as reckless. I'll get down to 10%, and I'll walk out. I'll ult someone, I'll walk out. It won't be a big deal. No big worries here from Darian. He's going to have that kind of gameplay where he's going to be very comfortable in his own skin, knows that there's no surprises really in store, right? No one's going to pick him out of nowhere. He knows the kind of damage BB's putting out. He knows how much damage Kog'Maw can deal. He knows what Toys can deal. He knows, yeah, okay, you've got Requiem, that's nice, but then no one else is going to chase him out. So he can walk out of those fights so securely and just tank damage. And because he has Trinity Force, because he has those duels, he will actually be a pretty reasonable damage threat. By picking up that Triforce, it gives him just enough presence to say, yes, here's the damage output that you actually care about. If I go for a squishy, he'll actually take damage. You must actually deal with me even though you don't want to. Even though I'm Guardian Angel Yorick, you must deal with me. You must focus me and push me out.
Yeah, Freak, that's something actually we talked about with Dan Din earlier and how Moscow 5 BenQ approaches fights. They leave a few that can take the area of effect cooldowns away, causing the other team to only have pinpoint focus attacks. That's when they go in. They leave a few people to take away some area of effect, another few, they go into the fight. We saw that happen. You just explained. Darian, I'll take all the damage. Alex Ish flashed right into the fight. Both of those were wasting so many cooldowns while staying alive and able to trade back. This has brought them now 13-6. They have an over 10,000 gold lead just about, and it's going to be 28 minutes into the matchup. This spells Baron.
M5 going to make a good move for this. I think they're more trying to bait a battle out here. They were trying to sneak it because they only sent 3 members there. They wanted to try to put some damage in. They had ward coverage. They needed to get back out pretty safely. But Alex on the flank.
Alex is coming in from behind. This is what we said he would do. He goes away from Toys. You can see him just blowing all the cooldowns. They've separated from the fight. Genja as well, or BB rather. BB trying to come in with that passive. The Requiem goes down, and it's not going to be enough damage. Genja more than happy to stay in the fight. Fires down on Little Balls. Mistake is in his eyes next. Gets the double kill, the triple kill. No, Alex, he's picking up Shen, and they're going to have an open turret for that first inhibitor in mid, but it looks like they're making a straight beeline for Baron.
That is the right play. Once again, they had simply separated the champions perfectly. You saw Diamond kind of go in and out against Toys and Karthus, and it simply kind of require him to stand there out of range of anyone else. It was just perfect positioning. It's a free push onto Baron, of course, with no one else alive. They don't need to wait around for Darian to revive. It's not that big of a deal. They'll simply pick up the buff, pick up the golden experience, walk themselves back out very safely. They've got time to recall. Not a big deal. His replay is coming out. Let's see exactly what went down. Now watch Diamond. He comes in, knocks up Toys, walks back out. Toys cannot do anything in this fight. He's simply unable to deal much damage. Finally gets shut down. Still not in range of anyone. Now watch Darian at the bottom. Genja. Genja's got no one to focus him. Easy kill on Little Balls. No one there to touch Vayne. Walks up. Mistake. Not a problem. Stanley, the last one alive on Shen. They focus the targets. And they focus the carries properly. BB went down first. Toys went down second. Little Balls went down third. And then Mistake and Stanley the tanks went down last. They had exact perfect target prioritization. Alex flanked around the back, bursted Toys, prevented Toys from getting himself in the middle of the fray, and Genja, playing his champion right, said, yes, if I'm stuck near a Karthus, it will suck, so I won't be anywhere near Karthus, thank you very much. We'll kill BB, I'll come from around the side, you guys deal with Karthus, I'll kill things on the other side of the map.
Team Guardian Angel now coming into play for M5 BenQ. They are starting to sport those around. It looks like Diamond is trying to get his up there quite soon as well. He does have the chain vest. They have pushed TPA back into their base. Moscow 5 now controls the team fights within this game. Genja, Gosu, Pepper, and Diamond still holding that Baron buff. Very strong in their own rights. With Darian on the front side, the Guardian Angel just about to come back up for him in about 5 seconds. This is why he's pushing the turret so hard. If it comes back in this fight, it's going to be huge. There's so much focus on him, and they're not going to see it come back up. BB going down, has to cleanse out of this one. Toys is just standing there doing so much damage. It doesn't look like the focus is that right for Moscow 5, but they're avoiding all the damage that they need to. An ace coming out for them, a triple kill coming out for Genja, and it looks like they may be able to push out to the Nexus turrets in this one. They have a lot of tank behind their champions. Diamond and Gosu on the front. The first Nexus turret goes down 23-7, 31 minutes into the game. That's all Moscow 5 needed for game 1 as they take it from TPA.